Today we will be presenting the case study of the fruits of Sherbrooke. This case study is being presented by Mandy, Cynthia, and Cole. To understand our case study, you have to look at food wastage as a global issue. Food wastage could feed nearly 800 million people worldwide who suffer from hunger. Landfill food wastage produces methane, which is a gas that is 21 times more dangerous than carbon dioxide. In the 2000s, they were looking at 1.3 billion tons of food wastage globally each year, which is the equivalent of $1 trillion per year. Businesses knew they had to do better, which came up with the Triple Bottom Line Movement, or 3BL. It is a means of businesses measuring their impact on environmental health, social well-being, and organizational financial success and resilience. The impact of food wastage was attracting a lot of attention in the 2000s due to the environmental impact that it was having on the world. By 2015, the United Nations recognized the need to address the abundance of food wastage globally and adopted the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. These goals were aimed at cutting food wastage and cutting food losses from within the production chain. Looking at Canada, we too have a large amount of food wastage among households, businesses, and supply chain, to the tune of $31 billion worth per year. Some grocery chains, recognizing the need to address this issue, introduced their own food waste programs and landfill diversion programs, like Loblaws' no-name Naturally Imperfect produce line. Fruits of Sherbrooke was founded in 2010 by three owners looking to provide food security to the community while reducing food wastage. They used excess local fruit that would have otherwise been wasted to feed hungry people and produce unique products like jams and jellies. The retail sales from their jams and jellies was then donated back to their community through nutrition programs. However, despite their success, the founders were facing a dilemma of how they could continue their social enterprise. The major issues they were facing was developing a succession plan. The current organization structure relies heavily on numerous volunteers and the founders putting in a lot of hours. Fruits of Sherbrooke needs to examine their structure and financial situation in order to determine strategies for growth that would create balance with their commitment to social good.
General overview. According to 2016 statistics, the specialty food industry was 2% of the retail food market. This accounted for $1.9 billion in revenue. That industry was comprised of 6,500 small businesses, and based on lifestyle changes and consumer behavior, that industry was growing. Industry trends. The consumer trend was shifting towards healthier, organic, and locally made foods for their health and to safeguard the environment. Considering Fruits of Sherburne's revenue was $93,000, their market share is very small. The larger retail stores joined the bandwagon and created stiff competition in this niche market. While some small specialty businesses were forced to lower their prices, others leveraged on big retailers' distribution channels and flourished. We will now conduct our external analysis using the pastel analysis method. The first factor would be political factors. The political climate in Canada specifically is stable, and there is due process which makes it easier to conduct businesses or to fulfill non-profit missions. War is not in the foreseeable future. However, changes in political players, for example, President Donald Trump exiting the US from the Paris Climate Agreement in 2020, these policy changes undid many environmental protection policies which could affect Canada, especially since we're close neighbors. The political climate for advocating for reduced food wastage is ripe, even on a global stage, with the UN and the World Economic Forum championing initiatives to reduce food waste by 2030. Tax regulations and labor policies are fair and regulated in Canada and are generally not barriers to conducting legal business and charity missions. Economic factors. In 2016, the Canadian economy was growing at 2.6% rate by the fourth quarter, and household income had risen by 3.8%. However, Canada does not live in a vacuum. As we all know, when the US sneezes, Canada catches a cold. The main economic uncertainty was the US global trade policies changing due to the newly elected Republican Party. The growing trend was that businesses had started to use the triple bottom line as a KPI. That is, the economic, environmental, and social as performance measures. By 2016, the value of food wastage is at $1 trillion annually. In 2015, the United Nations initiated Sustainable Development Goals, followed in 2016 by Champions 12.3 at the World Economic Summit, with the goal of working together to reduce food waste by 2030. Socio-cultural factors. Consumer behavior is changing and there are now lifestyle changes. People are wanting more locally sourced food, organic, and healthier options. People are concerned with the effects of food production to the environment, so preferences are beginning to change. These changes are noted due to many buy local initiatives which support local farmers and businesses. There are also changes in attitude in the retail industry in general. Canadian retailers are beginning to change their attitudes toward food wastage. Loblaws introduced the Naturally Imperfect brand to help with the food wastage issue. Technological factors. Apps have now been developed to match food to people. For example, 0% in Chicago. These apps help non-profits work with other organizations to create a global village and leverage on each other's strengths to reduce food wastage and alleviate hunger. There is a growing trend to use social media and other technology to crowdfund. For example, using Kickstarter or currently Food Connects on YouTube and Facebook. There is also the ability to leverage on automation to increase productivity and reduce operational costs. Environmental factors. The cost of producing wasted food was 3.3 billion tons of carbon monoxide. The use of a third of agricultural land and greenhouse gases are produced from landfills. 3% of all Canadian greenhouse gases are produced in the organic food landfills. The environmental protection laws are changing to be less wasteful of food. The EPA favors reducing excess food production at the source and feeding people with the excess food, therefore diverting it from landfills. This is good for Fruits of Sherbrooke as it is in line with their mission. Legal factors. There are changes in attitudes of the government towards food wastage by initiating food diversion campaigns to reduce it. For example, the British Columbia Ministry of Agriculture supported and partnered with a non-for-profit organization on the Buy Local, Eat Natural campaign. Not only that, they launched the We Heart Local campaign in the province. There are health and safety regulations that organizations need to follow when using diverted foods and in production. If hiring employees, organizations will have to comply with labor, safety, and tax regulations.
Hi, my name's Cole, and I'll be going over the internal analysis of Fruit of Sherbrooke's. So just as a brief overview, as a result of our evaluation, we identified many ways in which the organization implements and uses resources in order to make it successful and distinguish itself from competitors in the industry. So there's no doubt that the organization has a number of strengths and opportunities, but we also identify some shortcomings and challenges that could potentially threaten the organization's future, and we'll also identify ways to overcome these challenges and implement recommendations that make it more profitable and successful. So first we'll go over the RAT analysis. The first valuable resource that we found was the International Distribution Network. So as the case study identifies, Fruit of Sherbrooke is a company that has a great yet effective international distribution system. So its wide assortment of agents in various countries allows the organization to reach various markets in a cost yet effective way. Another valuable resource would be the market research. So the organization proves to possess an outstanding and unique understanding of marketing skills and their overall application. So by using this method, Fruits of Sherbrooke can directly reach its customers through various channels, which is very valuable to the organization. Our third valuable resource would be the products and fruit ingredients. So all products and fruit of Sherbrooke's were all natural, real, and made of real fruit juice. So all natural products like this tend to be what most consumers are looking for due to the harmful chemicals that are out there, and therefore this is what makes the product's ingredients so valuable. So some rare resources would be the efficient use of resources. So with the high levels of production at Fruit of Sherbrooke, the organization is efficiently and effectively utilizing all its resources while trying to maintain its profitability. So a second rare resource would be the diverse and unique product portfolio. So with a unique and diverse product line, the company is able to target multiple niche markets, as well as generate a decent profit and revenue mix to maintain a good, strong financial position in the industry. So a third rare resource would be the methods of production. So for example, harvesting methods. The organization goal is to maintain a low cost of production. Therefore, the means of production have to be as efficient as possible. In that way, Fruit of Sherbrooke shows this by their continuous innovation regarding how they crop and harvest their products. They are continuously being cost effective while still being as efficient and effective as possible. So now we'll go over the inevitable resources. So one that we found was the innovation of the organization. So the innovation of Fruits of Sherbrooke, they have maintained a high leadership program in the industry by creating products that are unique, natural, and consumer-based, as well as producing something that is not yet the market. They have demonstrated this. In addition, they have proven that they have taken well advantage of their first mover advantage by being able to introduce their products to the market without having many competitors to start off with. As a result of this, their unique product portfolio allows them to also possess first mover advantages. A second resource would be the intellectual property. Fruits of Sherbrooke products and overall product production system cannot be easily replicated due to their intellectual property rights. The organization's unique ingredients, blend, and overall mix is what makes it difficult for competitors to copy and compete in the industry. Another resource would be the patents and copyrights. So the various patents and copyrights that the organization has is another inevitable resource. For instance, Having a patent or copyright is a big advantage for a non-profit organization in order to generate a fair profit without having many competitors in the industry. Another resource would be customer experience. So by Fruit of Sherbrooke creating a variety of products and product lines, they've been able to target multiple consumer groups and or markets. The organization is currently operating in multiple countries. Due to their excellent customer skills, abilities, they are able to create a unique customer list. So another source would be the resources. So due to the Fruit of Sherbrooke not putting any preservatives or chemicals on the products, they're able to remain sustainable and hold a longer, yet taste-lasting life. In addition, the overall quality of the products is pure, and that makes it the quality of Fruits of Sherbrooke's unmatched in the marketplace. So now we'll go over the non-substitutable resources. So one is the positive brand recognition and value. So one of the sources of Fruit of Sherbrooke's success is the brand value and brand recognition. So having high brand recognition and brand value across a wide range of countries and consumer groups allows the organization to generate a high profit margin, to generate a fair profit margin and a positive yet great relationship with consumers. So now we'll go over the exploitable resources. So the very first one that we found were the resources and product capabilities. So the capabilities and resources have enabled the organization to build a solid business in order to be able to maintain sustainable over the years and meet the needs of consumers. So for instance, the organization has a creative and extensive product line that it consists of a variety of different kinds of jelly and or fruits. In the end, due to the multitude of factors such as activities, products, financial resources, buildings, experiences, past successes, and so on, the organization stands above their many competitors in the industry. So another exploitable resource would be the programs. So according to the case, the organization has enjoyed teaching others how to preserve summer produce. These programs, one of many is called Cherry Stone Soup. So this consists of jam making classes for the local community for a small price. In addition, like I said, the organization is involved in many other programs such as a Kickstarter campaign and partnering with local charitable organizations such as E4C. So anyone who volunteers would then get a hands-on learning experience on how to make their unique jam. By having these classes, the organization is hoping to generate more funding and exposure for their organization, which makes it exploitable. So now we'll go over the SWOT analysis. So one of the many strengths that we found were the resources, so products and services. So the organization's resources, such as the quality of products and services, are known to be grown naturally and made naturally. The company is all about minimizing their environmental footprint, and they show this by composting all organic waste in order to make an impact. In addition, they don't spray their food with any chemicals or fertilizers, which help as well. A second strength would be the domestic market that they operate in is booming. So according to the case study, the domestic market that Fruit of Sherbrooke operates in poses a strength, yet could pose as a challenge. So as an example, the organization could easily grow in this current market, but operating or expanding in different markets could be more of a challenge because of research and development and future costs. Another strength would be the unique and diverse product portfolio. As I stated earlier, Sherbrooke has a large and very diverse product portfolio. So by having a large variety of products, it allows the organization to target and reach various segments at the same time in the current market that they're in. So for example, the nonprofit organization has reduced fruits such as raspberries, rhubarb, pears, crab apples, and wild local fruit. Overall, this has helped the organization build a strong yet profitable revenue source. So another advantage would be the first mover advantage. So as the very first business to exist, Fruit of Sherbrooke has an advantage or first mover advantage in various segments. In addition to this, large number of patents and copyright were purchased by the founders and creators. By being the first mover in the industry, the organization will and has continued to significantly advance in ways to overcome challenges in sustainability and social entrepreneurship in the domestic market. So some of the weaknesses that we found was the technology for the organization is outdated. So even though the organization has implemented technology, they still haven't been able to increase their technological capabilities in the front end processes of their business. Another weakness that we found was the business model could be easily replicated. In spite of the company's numerous patents and copyrights, its business model makes it really easy for other competitors in the industry to replicate and adopt it. So a third weakness would be the workforce is lacking and isn't diverse. So diversity among the workforce that exists is very evident. The organization did not have paid employees and relied on a large number of volunteers to carry out their work. Another weakness would be the current margin leaves little to no room for future growth. So the current margin of Fruit of Sherbrooke is lacking and hasn't left any room for future growth. Based on the information provided, we believe that margin of the organization could be significantly changed in order to produce a more positive yet effective profit and revenue mix. So now we'll go over the opportunities for the organization. So one of the first many opportunities would be to increase the technology innovation. So while the world is developing and expanding at an incredibly rapid pace, technology is also advancing in many ways. So one of the most common ways that technology is advancing today is through the use of artificial intelligence and machine learning. So using these cutting-edge technology developments, the organization can transform the processes in their organization and improve efficiency, resulting in a significant reduction in costs. By increasing their technology innovation, the organization can take a better advantage of indicating and predicting customer demand, making better recommendations, as well as provide to different niche markets out there. Another opportunity would be involving and increasing consumer preferences. So as consumer preferences over the years have changed and will continue to change, it is no surprise that over time they will change as well. According to the organization, this presents as a significant opportunity for the future. Creating sustainable business, the organization can do this by continuing to advance the diversity within the organization by offering a variety of brands and products to meet the preferences of the customers. Another opportunity would be to reduce the number of products that are available. So the organization can use this opportunity to take advantage of reducing the number of goods that they offer for sale in the market and just focus on the most successful products that will be able to make them to earn them a decent yet profitable margin. Another opportunity would be to marketing and expand into other markets, such as the international market. The customer demand and popularity of social media and marketing has reduced the risk associated with marketing and entering different markets. So this could present as an opportunity for the organization to take advantage of these low costs and opportunities by entering the international market. So a few threats that we came upon were threats of new entrants and entering the market. So this is probably one of the biggest threats for the company, for the organization, sorry. So although they use strategic ways to reach its customers and build their customer list and base, competitors still can easily leverage the same things, such as building their own unique customer base and reaching customers on the same platforms, such as the same social media platforms that the organization does. Another threat would be the increased cost. So the organization works in developed markets, which could result in increased costs associated with environmental regulations. So since the government regulates and tries to promote more environmentally friendly options based on the carbon footprint, the costs of logistics could go up for the organization. Another threat would be the price stickiness. So this is, a culture of sticky prices exists in the market, of which the organization operates. So for instance, sticky prices can and will lead to inefficiency. So by doing this and having this, this poses as a threat to the organization from increasing its prices and therefore restricting the amount of revenue that they could potentially earn in the future.
The group has developed 3 alternatives for the Fruits of Sherbrooke to use in order to look at their succession plan. We understand that there's some other issues that need to be addressed in order to have a succession plan succeed. So the 3 alternatives that we came up with were: first, network with partners in order to increase resource capabilities and produce economies of sales. So if they were able to source more organizations that could donate food directly to them rather than them going out to find it themselves and collect it themselves, like larger farms, they also have the possibility of partnering with those farms to increase manufacturing capabilities. So if they were using a larger farm that already had a production facility on site, then they would be able to possibly work with them in order to increase their production of goods as well. The second alternative was to reduce the number of products being offered and focus on the best-selling jams and jellies. So if they were able to reduce the number of products being offered, it would reduce their labor needs, so they wouldn't need as many volunteers. They would have a minimal selection. This would also narrow the produce collection as well, so they wouldn't be collecting as many different products and having to figure out how they could possibly utilize them. They could also source mass quantities from larger farms, and that would help them reduce some of their expenses as well. And then reduce the resource consumption associated with the production of newer offerings. Finally, our third alternative is to forego growth completely in order to focus on strengthening the brand, thereby increasing revenues. So we're looking for them to leverage strategies to increase price of products offered, increasing their margins, capitalizing on the use of social media, and programs to bring national awareness to the brand and promote social responsibility using the 3BL measures.
We think right now they have to forego growth in order to focus on strengthening the brand. They need to leverage on changing attitudes and partner with governments and corporations looking to increase their 3BL. They have to become more profitable by increasing their sales volume and prices. And they also need to reduce their operational costs by leveraging on automation and technology. Increasing their production will help lower their costs due to economies of scale. They need to use their earned income profits to hire part-time staff for specific activities so they do not have to rely too much on volunteers. They need to use their crowdfunding to purchase production machines to increase production volumes and lower costs.
As a first step to the implementation process, we would conduct a survey to determine the most popular products and the ones that are getting the most recognition within the community. This would start in July, when production is not quite up in full swing, so that we would have the time to review and go over the responses. In August, we would start to network with other 3BL businesses to generate partnerships. When we're looking at partnerships, we're hoping that we can collaborate with people in order to use their technology or their operational automation that they have, so that we would be able to reduce the expense of packaging and cooking our own products for the fruits of Sherbrooke. Then develop a promotional campaign that would run from Thanksgiving to Christmas. For that promotional campaign, we would be looking at, if you buy one, then you get one, buy one and then you get one that would be donated to the food bank or to a charitable organization that is feeding the local community. Um, we would also look at capitalizing on programs offered at that point in time. So the programs of the canning and starting a youth initiative program as well, in order to gain exposure with the younger generation. In October, we would increase our social media traffic. So increasing postings on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube videos. And then in November and December, we would start recording reels to increase traffic to the website and encourage purchasing of products for good causes. In December, when things were a little slower, we would look at a marketing plan, and strategies should be in full swing during the holiday giving time. So the marketing plan that we had put in place, obviously we're going to keep promoting that. And then we're going to initiate planning to hire new staff and outline the tasks and roles that they would most be, what we feel would be mostly important for them to take on, and help supply the needed coverage for the organization. In January, we finalize all the plans for interviewing and onboarding new staff. In February, we would do some research and development for government grants and campaigns that we could participate in order to bring more exposure to the organization. So grants would be things like receiving half the pay for our staff that are coming on. Grants that would see us have our marketing campaigns paid for as part of an awareness campaign through a Ministry of Environment or through the Ministry of Health. Conduct an accounting audit. So at this point in time, because we're going into a new year, we would be doing accounting audit, and we'd be looking at the ratios to determine the approach to the next season. And we would be hoping to complete the interviews and hire the staff by the end of the month. In March, we would finalize the products that we would be focusing on for the following season. And we would have partners in place for the automation of production and the technological advantages that may be available to us. We would hire and start orientating the staff at that point in time. And then this way, come April, they'd be able to participate in early spring shows and start attending farmers market and sourcing seasonal markets to carry our products in. In May, we work with new staff on planning for the season and produce sourcing and produce sourcing, developing new relationships and meeting community partners to determine their needs, like the school nutrition program that Fruits of Sherbrooke already participates in, and seeing what other community partners we're looking for to help with feeding our local needs. In June, we would restart the social media blitz to gain seasonal exposure, and things like a day in the life of one of our employees, meeting all the new employees that were going to be part of the organization, meeting the volunteers that help run the organization as well, and how the organization is helping with the 3BL initiative and introducing some of the partners that we'd be working with. In July, the main goal in implementation would be increased average transaction size So attracting customers to purchase more and increase frequency of transactions per customer. So purchase a gift basket, save on a jam set. Finally, in August, we review the plan, adjust where there could be improvements, and revisit the succession plan and how founders could slowly reduce their time within the organization as a vital resource. The implementation plan that we have put in place is to help address the recommendations that we have put forth for this case study. We're looking for the Fruits of Sherbrooke to create bigger profit margins in order to generate paid positions. In order for their succession plan to be successful, they need to have the founders reduce the amount of hours and amount of labor that they're putting into the company. And the only way they can do this at this time is by foregoing growth in order to increase profit. We believe that they can do this by networking through social media and doing a social media uptick, so having more exposure that way into the community. Narrow their offerings in order to maximize purchasing power. Champion their gourmet label to promote the unique qualities. Possibly register as a charitable organization to entice larger organizations to donate. So if they can get larger organizations, like even say something like Loblaws, to donate their leftover produce that was probably going to be garbage, then they have an opportunity to write off that donation as a charitable donation. If they're able to streamline product offerings in order to gain a foothold into larger markets as well. So that means that by narrowing their offerings, they are able to put more products and guarantee that they will have those products available to a larger market. Right now, the case study indicated that they do not have that capability, and by having that capability, it will allow them to gain more exposure and gain more traffic to their organization. Being socially responsible means having a sustainable plan for the future of the organization. Right now, their plan that they have in place is not a sustainable one. And in order to have a future as an organization, they need to address the fact that they need to have paid positions so the founders can reduce the amount of time and resources that they are putting into the organization. We believe that one of these initiatives could be starting a youth movement, and that will gather young followers to the movement and will create a future for the company as well. On the Fruits of Sherbrooke case study is that this company has many opportunities to increase their revenue, and then we believe that growth is possible in the future if they address the issues that they are having right now in regards to revenue and profitability. In order for their succession plan to work, it needs to be feasible. Their current model is not feasible in order for a future of the organization because the founders are putting in so many hours and so much resources in order to keep the organization functioning. These resources currently are free to them and their time is free and the volunteers that they have are free as well, but that is only going to be sustainable for so long. Fruits of Sherbrooke is attaining their 3BL goals, but they are falling a little short on the financial end, which is what our recommendations are aiming to fix. With the proper planning, we believe that they can and will grow and will have a future that is bright. What they really need to do is think as a for-profit business rather than a not-for-profit business, and that'll be the key to their future. Following this slide, you will see our references. Thank you for taking the time to watch our presentation. We look forward to receiving and addressing your questions.